Yes, guys, I'm Si. Welcome to Cardiff City World. Welcome to your Plymouth versus Cardiff City preview live on Cardiff City World. Welcome back to the channel. Hopefully you can all hear me. My headphones are playing up a little bit, so looks good, sounds good, I think. But you let me know if you can't hear me. I'm just going to give it a little share on the old Twitter. Evening, Damien, Matthew, Paul, etc. The lads, welcome. I know Matthew, Angel, and Josh are already up in Plymouth, and Jamie and that is already up in Plymouth. Jonathan, Evan, Alex, hello, what's happening? Welcome this evening. And of course, welcome to all viewers and listeners, even the ones who don't comment, they just watch. I know you're there. I know there's a few of you. Get involved. Subscribe to the channel. Did you know, right, that there's 40% of the people who watch the channel are not subscribed, which is mental. So please do press subscribe. It's free. Press the bell notification, and then you get a notification every time we upload a video. Because going forward, there's not only going to be live shows pretty much every day, but there's also going to be video content most days as well. We have the vlogs, interviews. We have the radio show live on a Wednesday, which has just had ridiculous guests, which are only getting to get bigger and better. I can tell you that much. We ain't stopping. We're going to keep doing what we do. Let the content speak for itself, and we shall go like that. So no, I'm not going to Villa, Alex. Couldn't get a ticket. I mean, I could have got a ticket if I'd pulled in some favors and stuff like that, but it was a bit awkward for me because I do some stuff on a Friday for the radio show. Although the Friday is going to be finishing soon, because I'm going to be doing something else on a Friday. I cannot tell you what that is yet, but I'm very, very excited by it, and I think you guys should be too. It's going to be cool. It's going to be cool. Stuff is happening. Stuff is always happening, but I'm sure the boys behind the scene will tell you this week has been crazy. Crazy exciting. Just exciting times. Lots and lots to go. But we have the big game tomorrow, and it is a big, big game. I feel like I haven't done a live show for ages. Like, obviously, did the radio show. With the radio show is much more structured, and I kind of alluded to it a little bit on Wednesday. So with the radio show, it's literally like minute to minute managed and produced, and got to play jingles at this time and this time and this segment and this segment. So what happens is I only have small windows where I can go to the comments and stuff like that. So it's not as interactive as I would like at the moment. However, the eagle-eyed viewers of you will have seen that when we play the jingles, there is a phone number which goes across the screen. At the moment, that phone number is not active. But very soon, that phone number on the Wednesday night will be active, and we will be doing a call-in segment on that show where you can ask questions, you can phone up, have your say, stuff like that. So, yeah, it's going well. It's going well. We've had good guests every week. We have fan opinion, debate, all that good stuff. It's exciting times. So because obviously the Villa game is sold out, I don't know what we're going to do on that Friday night. Maybe we'll do a watch along, you know. I've put some feelers out because I was trying to get a certain ex-player or two to join me for a watch along, and we were going to film it at the hotel and do a bit of a thing. But I don't think that's going to pan out just because of like just stuff, logistical stuff. But if you'd like me to do a watch along for those of you who aren't going to watch Villa, then let me know in the comments after the show, and maybe we'll look at it and we'll do something. Like I'm open to it, because I'm not going to Villa. So indeed, I'm open to doing a watch along, even if I do it on my own and maybe just one or two people drop in and out. I'm sure Rhodri will be up for doing it as well. So like, it's an option, but we'll leave it to the people to decide. But if you'd like to, if you're not able to go to Villa and you'd like to do the old thing, then let me know. Right, that's okay. I was looking at that then. It looked like we weren't up on Twitter, but we are. So yeah, I know a few guys who were taking their kids for the first time to the Villa game. Matthew saying he's taking his 3-year-old son to the first away game tomorrow. That's amazing, mate. It's a special moment, mate. Taking your boy for the first time is something you don't forget. Like, and again, the eagle-eyed viewers of you will have seen at the start of the Willie Boland thing, I put a little tribute into my wife and my kids because my wife puts up with so much. Like I do. I don't think people realize like how much I do. And obviously I got a lot of health problems as well. And she supports me massively. She helps with the production of the podcasts and stuff like that. She does a lot behind the scenes, but she also looks after me to make sure that I'm not going to keel over and end up in hospital again. But anyway, in that little tribute, you'll have seen my son. My oldest son's first Cardiff game was actually an under-21s game. And there's a picture of him when he's 6 and he's got like, see the back of his shirt. He's got long hair then as well. But there we go. All right, let's get to the game. We'll go back to the comments in just a minute. I know, I think I saw Angel just said there that, I think he said he's on his way. I thought I saw somewhere. We shall see. But we go again. As is tradition with the these previews, we go with the opposition team first and we talk about them. One thing I will say about this game is obviously recent results for Cardiff, the Portsmouth game specifically, has made this game much more, it's higher pressure. I think there's a lot of pressure on Omar Rhys. Rightly or wrongly, there is. It is what it is. I think if you look at it from a purely results-based thing and a statistical thing, and you sort of, he's only won this against games out of this, then of course, I think it's fair to say it doesn't look amazing. It doesn't look terrible, but it doesn't look amazing. But I think you've just got to bear in mind as well, like there's context to everything. Omar Rhys took over. We had 1 goal, 1 point. We conceded 13. We were rooted at the bottom, and it was painful to watch. Even in his first game where we lost 4-0, you saw an immediate change to how we were playing. We were pressing. We were trying to get the ball forward a little bit more directly. We were just a bit more attacking. That matters because I know us as football fans, we are fickle. We have short-term memories. I get it. Like we're all like it to a certain degree, some worse than others. But like under Errol Bullitt, it was painful to watch. Even when we won, it was not enjoyable. Now, I was with Errol Bullitt to the end, really, and I felt for him in some ways, but I didn't feel for him in other ways. Obviously, for me, with Errol Bullitt, the thing really, which was probably the nail in it, was that we were promised from him, from the club in the summer, that we'd make signings and we would see that style of play progress and evolve, and it didn't. You know, pre-season, we're playing like a 2-3-5 in possession with the fullbacks right up with the strikers. By half-time in the first game of the season, I think it was Preston, was it? He had abandoned it. You know, within a couple of games, we were back to 2 holding midfielders. It was painful. Omar Rhys has come in. Has he got everything right? No. Do I think he's done a good job? I think he's done a pretty good job. There's certain things I really like about his management style. I think he's really flexible. He's really adaptive. I think he's tactically quite switched on. But he's going to make mistakes because he's a young manager. And unfortunately, the situation that Cardiff is in is a high-pressure situation. And if you make too many of those mistakes or you don't learn by those mistakes, it's going to lead to a full-blown relegation battle. At the moment, I still think we're on the fringes. But a bad result tomorrow is going to make it more... It's more problematic, isn't it? Like, there's no way around it, regardless. Like, another ththing I think Omar Rhys has done tremendously well is unify a squad which wasn't happy. He's, you know, they all want to play for him. They're all doing their best. By and large, I think it's only really the Leeds game, which has been an absolute debacle. There's been some poor performances, don't get me wrong. The Oxford and around that Christmas period was not good. But, you know, Leeds are top of the league for a reason. But it's massive. It's massive 2 games. You've got Plymouth tomorrow, Hull Tuesday. You get 6 points from that, by the way, and you're flying. And by the way, if we were to take 6 points from those 2 games and the Jacks lose, they're in trouble. They're dragged right back into it. Not just them, Portsmouth can get dragged back down. Even Oxford above Swansea could get dragged into it. I would go as far to say that Millwall and Preston are not completely safe, depending on, if the teams below them go on a bit of a run, they could get dragged back in. It's by no means set in stone and, it's just these 5 teams or this. It's just 2 huge games, high pressure. And what we must do at the moment is we must stop conceding silly goals. We must stop making silly errors and switching off. That concentration, we have to be able to concentrate at the back for 90 minutes. We have to be able to put away chances when we get them in games where we may not get lots of chances. We have to be clinical. We'll talk about the Cardiff side in just a second and what I would do. I've kind of titled it, Time to Let the Handbrake Off. I've said for a while that I feel that Cardiff's best form of defence is almost attacking. But let's talk about Plymouth Argyle first and foremost. So I think, first of all, Plymouth had a good window and they've kind of got themselves together a little bit. Recent results, like they beat Liverpool in the Cup, they beat West Brom, and they thrashed Millwall, who we struggled to a draw with. So it's such a tricky predicament for the manager, this Plymouth game, because I'm sure there's an element of, let's just make sure we don't lose. But I almost feel like if you give me 4 points out of the next 2 games, I'm probably taking it. But I also think if Cardiff are at their best, they can beat both teams quite comfortably. I really strongly believe that Cardiff have a very good squad now. Now, it's difficult mid-season to change the feeling, the confidence, the belief within the group. If we went into the season, if we were going into a start of a season now with Omar Rhys and with this squad, I'd have a lot more confidence that we could go and do something with this squad. Because I look at it and you've got a good blend of experience and you've got a good blend of young, exciting talent who are either technically excellent or young and raw and attacking. And then, of course, you've got the young players at the back, pushing, not the back, but like pushing the first team. Sorry, I'm just going to pop this up just to add it to my collection. If you haven't got your tickets, please do. We'll put that next to the Craig Bellamy one. Where should we put it? Got to sort out this background, Ryan. Right, let's just pop it there for a minute, shall we? Glenn Loovens, 25th of April, get your tickets. Plug over. We'll come back to that later. Plymouth have made good signings. They got rid of Wayne Rooney. We are not going to be facing the same Plymouth side that we faced at the Cardiff City Stadium. That side was appalling. And I felt like they looked uncoached. They play 3 at the back, so which is it always throws up an interesting quandary with the 3 when a team plays 3 at the back, because we do have the ability to flip to a 3. I like the 3-4-3 system or 3-4-2-1 system. I know some people don't. I just think we've got the personnel slightly wrong with it when we've played it. Only slightly, just 1 or 2 little things, tweaks, and I feel that that's where we could have kicked on with it. But it's a handy system to have in your back pocket. And when an opposition side plays 3 at the back, I always wonder, I wonder if we'll match them up. Because you see that a lot when there's 3 or 5 at the back, to try and reduce the opportunity for the opposition to get those overloads, whether it's when they're defending or in the central areas of the pitch. Excuse me, sorry, just choking. But they've got some good players, Plymouth have at the moment, and they've got a good mix, similar to us, of young and exciting players. I really like Katic, although he doesn't. He does make the odd mistake at the back. He can be a bit sloppy in possession, like he can give the ball away, and like, what's the word I would use? Like brain fades. Like he'll be having like an amazing game, and then he'll just give the ball away in his own area, or like just silly things like that. But I really like him. He's good on the ball and he's good in the air. I like the sorry Nola, who plays on the right, sort of a wing back role. He's really good. Obviously, Hardy has proven championship quality. Then you've got Giabi, good player. Zerzik came off the bench against Millwall recently. Al Hafi, Beidou is another one. They have some players who can do you some damage, but I still would kind of argue. I don't know how you'd say it, but I would say I just still think Cardiff's squad is good. It's good enough to beat this team. It's good enough to be doing much better in the championship. But what I will say, and I will say it again, is there's certain aspects that Cardiff must do better. We must move the ball quicker. We must concentrate more as we get into the game at the back and cut out the silly mistakes. We must look after the ball a bit better when we're going back to the keeper and the keeper just sort of plays it. They've got to be long passes, not long balls, just hitting hopes. Utilize the qualities that we've got in the side. One of my pet hates when Mate used to come on all the time is that we'd automatically just start lumping it forward. I hope we don't do that with Salic, because while Salic is good in the air and he's a big lad, I think physically, in terms of his athleticism and his, like, he almost, like, you could see him filling out a bit. He's quite slight. So I think it's important that we get the right type of balls to him and we move it quick. If you've got players, and, you know, I'm going to say some players who might be injured as well or out, but you've got players like Callum Chambers, you've got Joe Rolls, you've got Mansverk, you've got Robertson, you've got Ruben. They're not players who you want to be just missing out and playing long balls up to the striker. You want to be playing through those players and getting them on the ball in the right areas, because they're all very, very good on the ball. So it's going to be interesting. Plymouth have some injury issues of their own. Hardy, I think, is one who's out, which is obviously good for Cardiff, because I do quite like him. Like, I don't think he's one of them where I don't think he's amazing, but I think he's decent. Cardiff have obviously got their own injury problems, which we'll discuss in just a minute. The big one for me is always Alex Robertson. One day, I want to see that midfield three of Mansverk, Robertson, and Colwell, because I really, truly believe you give that midfield three an opportunity to gel and to play, that has all the makings of being something real special. All the qualities. Good on the ball, physically good, aggressive, can play off one touch, can keep hold of the ball, can take more touches if needed. Like, just genuine quality there. But it's got to be the right time. It's got to be the right situation. You know, maybe that's not the midfield to go and play Burnley or Leeds, but then maybe it is the right midfield to play against certain teams. But then saying that, is Mansverk, if Mansverk is your best holding midfielder now, it is the best midfield you can put out. But would you go with Chambers if everyone's fit of your holding midfield? I've been super impressed with Mansverk. So Plymouth are on fire. Not well, I wouldn't say they're on fire, but they're in good form. Certainly they have picked up. Their championship only form, they've only won 2 of the last 6, drawn 2, lost 2. So very sort of, you don't quite know what you're going to get from them. In all competitions, they've won 3 of the last 6. Cardiff, on the other hand, in all competitions have won 2 of the last 6, lost 2 and drawn 2. In the championship, they've won 2, drawn 2, lost 2. So it's very similar. In fact, it's exactly the same, just a different order. But it'll be interesting what Plymouth do with their injury issues and how they go about it. I'll give you the sort of side that I think is guessing at the end of the day. Ryan Hardy is going to have a late fitness test, but I believe he missed out Luton with a back issue, so I don't expect him to play. They were Brendan Galloway and Joe Edwards. The captain is also out for the while. Cardiff, you've got Turnbull, Robertson, Tanner, Darland, I think, is still out, isn't he? But I think, let me find that article. Callum Chambers, Robertson, and Callum Robinson all expected to miss. That's big blows. Callum Robinson's a big blow because even if you go with Salic to start, Callum Robinson is your goal scorer. Whereas I think Salic has all the potential. I think he's a real old school poacher for me. And we'll discuss that. We'll come back to Cardiff. But that's the injuries. The Plymouth side, I think, is going to be Hazard, Talavirov, Katic, Paulson. And then I think you get Sorianola on the right. And then it's probably Randall and Houghton maybe in the middle. Who they go for on the left will be interesting. I think they'll go with Paulich. But they might also go with Ogbeta is a good option. And then with Hardy out, it'll be interesting. But I think you probably see Wright, Al Haji, and Bundu up front. So Cardiff will need to keep certain players quiet. They'll need to do the right things. For me, I always say Cardiff need to start fast. So, in my opinion, your away performances in the Championship have to be slightly different. You have to set up differently because if you go and play like a home team, 9 times out of 10, you will get caught. But I do think Plymouth's confidence, belief, and execution as a knock-on effect because of those two things is on a bit of a knife edge. I also believe that their application of the instructions or the tactics that they want to follow out is not the best. You can look at the season as a whole. You can look at individual games when you watch them to see that that's the case. But their most recent results will give them a bit of belief. If they can go to Liverpool with a slightly rotated squad and win, of course there was a lot of Liverpool players rotated, but that Liverpool side, make no mistake, was full of international superstars and a few first teamers in there too. So it wasn't like a group of kids. They got a draw against Plymouth, against Luton, when the other Wednesday, last Wednesday. They lost to Blackburn, but they then, they beat Millwall, they beat Liverpool, they beat West Brom. So they're going to be pretty confident, I would think. Cardiff, in my opinion, need to press well and press together, because I do think there's mistakes in that back three of Plymouth's if you put them under pressure at the right times. And of course, there'll be some, there's always, so when teams coach the press, there'll be trigger points, heavy touches, weaker foot, out position, whatever it may be, too many touches. What I think we need to do is we need to get that press right. I think Salic can really add to that. I expect, I'd be shocked if Yusuf Salic doesn't start for Cardiff. But I also think we need to give the back four a little bit of protection early doors. First 20 minutes, I expect Plymouth to come out and try and push us, get an early goal, make us nervous, and really get the crowd behind them. The crowd's going to be bouncing. The crowd's going to be confident. So we do need to frustrate them a little bit early on. First 20 minutes, I don't expect us to start fast. I expect us to try and keep hold of the ball. I expect us to sit in a little bit, be compact, make ourselves difficult to break down. If we get the opportunity in the transition to get down the sides of them, that's where I think we can do damage. If we can win the ball in the middle third with their wing backs up, that's when you can get your wingers, your striker, your forwards in behind and really get at them. But what do we do with the Cardiff side? Do we go with the 3? Do we go with the 4? And really, it doesn't matter what we'd go with; it's what the manager will go with. And I had an interesting conversation today with a friend of mine. Like, people put so much into formations, but ultimately, the formation that you set out in, or you start in, or is your lineup, doesn't matter. And I know that sounds like crazy, but it doesn't matter, because teams in possession will play one shape. Out of possession, they will play another shape. So what difference does the position, like the formation, make? 4-4-2, 5-4-1, whatever. It doesn't matter, because in possession, teams tend to go, like a 2-3-5 or 3-2-5, whatever. Like, just all these different shapes and inverting the fullbacks and all these things that we see within modern football. And then when they lose possession, they go and drop into a 5, or they drop into 2 banks of 4 and 1-1. They press in a 4-4-2, but they drop into a 4-1-1, and all these different shapes and stuff. So the formation isn't what's important. What's important is the structure of the team. Generally speaking, I think our structure has been decent under Omar Risa, but we switch off. And I don't want to single out individuals, but we have had issues at right back from the start of the season. We had it again recently, where it's just you switching off, you make mistakes, and then it becomes an issue. So for me, I really feel that we need to get round pegs in round holes and go with what's going to suit us the best in this game, whilst also taking into account that we got a lot of injuries. I don't expect a change in goal. Halworth, I think, has done very well in the Cup. Alnwick, I think, shot stopping wise, is still good. His distribution in recent weeks has been a worry for me. Hasn't been as good as it was earlier in the season. But I expect Alnwick will be in goal. My centre-back pairing I'm going to go with what I think the manager will go with rather than what I would go with, because I still say Will Fish deserves to be in the starting lineup. Unless we're playing a 3, I don't expect Will Fish to start. I think Bagan has earned the right to carry on at left centre-back, and Gutas has been ropey recently, but I think it'll be Gutas and Bagan as your centre-backs. I think left-back will be either O'Dowda or possibly Perry NG, and then right-back will be Rinamoto. If you're asking me, I would probably go with O'Dowda just for the natural left-sided player. I'd be surprised if we went with Giles. I wouldn't be disappointed. I'd be very happy to see Giles, Bagan, Gutas, and Rinamoto as the back 4. But, it's a big, big game. He's a young lad finding his feet. It's a big ask. But they do say if you're good enough, you're old enough, etc., etc. But so I think it'll be O'Dowda, Bagan, Gutas, Rinamoto. Midfield, Mansverk. And I think it's probably Joe Rose is a doubt, though, isn't he? So it might be one of them where you have to go with what you got. Chambers is out. If Aaron Ramsey is going to start, now I don't think he should start at the moment. I don't see the need to risk him. I think we should just keep letting him play 20 minutes, half hour. But if he's going to start, then I would go with Mansverk and Ruben as the deep midfielders and Ramsey in the 10. And I know people will disagree with that. Ruben's done it 2 games in a row in the number 8, and he's done quite well. Obviously, we've been chasing goals at that point, but he has the physicality, and I think he has the vision and everything to do it. He can drive us on, and he also wins the ball back a lot, as we've discussed recently. I would go with Rinamoto at right back. I just think defensively, he's more reliable than Perry at the moment. Perry at his best is quality and the rest of it, as we've said many times, but just switches off at the moment for whatever reason, and we just can't afford those mistakes. It did depend. If Joe Rolls is fit, I'm going Joe Rolls for an hour and then bring Ramsey on. And then put Ruben in the 10. But if Joe Rolls isn't fit, maybe you're forced to put Rinamoto in the middle then with Manswerk for the work rate of the both of them away from home. I could definitely see that. And then Ruben in the 10. I would like to see the left wing be Alves, right wing be Kean Ashford, up front Salic. The reason I'm going Alves and Ashford is because not only do they have the ability to cause mayhem in the transition and on the break with their pace, but it's their work rate to support their fullbacks is massive. They both do so much work backwards as they win the ball back. They're aggressive, they're pacey, they never switch off. So I would literally have those two as the wingers. You could then got the options of El Ghazi, you've got Willock, Ramsey. You might see a couple of youngsters on the bench. You might see Mate return to the squad. So yeah, that would be my side. O'Dowda, Gutas, Bagan, Rinamoto, Manswerk, and Rawls if fit. If Rawls is not fit, Rinamoto into midfield, NG at right back, Colwell in the 10, Alves left. I like it. One of these days we'll have a full squad where we can just pick our very best team. Isaac Davis could be on the bench. That'll be interesting. I mean, ultimately, with Isaac, he's out of contract in the summer. So you'd imagine he's going to be really motivated to play, to get fit and prove a point and show his worth. It's just he's been so unfortunate with injuries. I really think he would be suited to this system. He could play through the middle, similar to what Robinson does, or he could play off the wide area and do a good job. I think Isaac is really talented. I think he's a really good finisher as well. And his decision making is good, when to cross, when to hold, when to dribble, when to shoot. But it's just his fitness. Can he stay fit? If he can stay fit from now to the end of the season, it's like a new signing. Simic, I would imagine, would be on the bench, although there were some interesting comments from the manager regarding Simic in the presser. It's a really interesting one. Let's have a look at what some of you guys are saying. Alex says, my 11 for Plymouth, Alnwick in goal, Bagan left back, Fish, Gutas, Rinamoto at right back. I quite like that. I think Fish deserves a start, mate. We said that. Rolls, captain, Manswerk in midfield, Ruben in the 10, Alves left, Ashford right, Salic or Robbo. I think Salic is pushing for a start anyway, so I wouldn't risk Robinson if he's had a bit of a knock. It's not worth the risk. He's an important player for us and probably do with a bit of a rest. So that'd be interesting. Jonathan said he'd play Rinamoto in midfield, NG at right back. Yeah, I would. If Rolls is out, I'd probably go with that. I think the work rate they give and it gives Ruben a bit more freedom. Jonathan also says we need Ruben to use his size, learn the physical side of his game in this one. I think because the Plymouth centre-backs are huge, very good defenders, we need a dent in their confidence. Yeah, and I think his ability to pinch the ball could be vital because, as I say, it's not just Katic at the back. It's the other one that plays on the right-hand side has got a bit of a... What's his name? It's the one with the long name. Talavirov also has a tendency to give the ball away. So having Ruben in the 10 is someone who can pinch the ball, is good at winning the ball back, but also then the pace of Alves and Ashford in the wide areas is good for the press. And also, Salic has shown that he's a willing runner. He's got to run the channels, Salic. I don't want to just see balls lumped up to him. I want to see him running the channels and trying to turn that defence around, get down the sides of him. Like they play a 3. Nola likes to push up. Purchase tucks in and pushes in. So there's space in the wide areas. And what happens in that system is when you get down the channels and you get down the sides of them, Talavirov and Poulsen are the ones who come out to cover, and that creates space for Ruben to drift into, and then you can create overloads and numbers, theoretically. Vincent says confidence is good at Plymouth with their 1-0 victory over Liverpool in the FA Cup, but so are we. We're still in the FA Cup. Yes, mate, we are. David says, come on, Cardiff. Damien says, get Darlin some bigger shin pads. Yeah, well, it depends where the cut is, doesn't it? Like, if it in a really awkward place, it just could keep opening up. Robinson's definitely out, is he? I wasn't sure if he was having a late fitness test. I'd go with Salic anyway, mate, to be honest with you. There's no point. I wouldn't risk Robbins. I wouldn't risk anyone who's carrying a knock. I mean, Joe Rawls, you could even get away with not risk. I was going to say you have to play him because we haven't got that many midfielders fit, but you can put Rinamoto in there, and Rinamoto will he'll do the work in midfield alongside Mansverk, and Perry can go into the right back. So it's not the end of the world to do that. So I wouldn't risk anyone. And that's why I said I wouldn't start Ramsey, even though he was top quality the other day. And plus, you've got the whole game days later. You can't be risking players. Matthew says, agree, Si. Ashford and Alves out wide would be dangerous, but also their work tracking back to help the fullbacks. Yeah, I've been really impressed with Alves for such a young guy who is in his first loan. He seems to have settled well, really comfortable on the ball. Lewis says, not sure why you heard Rhys wrong. I think he said Rawls and Tanner back in contention. But Tanner's still got a boot on, mate, I think, is my understanding. So I'd be very surprised if he is. Rawls, I think, is more of a late fitness test. This could be the game for Salic, Matthew. I agree. If we don't just lump it up to him. If we just lump it up to him, he's going to get bullied. And that's no disrespect to him. Like, he's a big unit and he's good in the air and he's good at holding defenders off, and his link-up play is really good. But Katic, Talavirov and Poulsen are big units. The boot is off, is it? That's good. Well, Tanner would be a big bonus to have him on the bench or something. But again, wouldn't risk him. Don't need to risk him. You've got Ashford, you've got Alves, you've got El Ghazi, you've got Willock, you've got Ruben, you've got Simic, Mate. Like, let's not risk players who are carrying knocks or coming back. You know, Isaac Davis maybe gets 10 minutes. Let's not risk players and have them break down when we've got a massive game in a 2-day period. Let's get this game won and then move on. Let's try and protect players who are carrying knocks and maybe are not 100%. If we don't need to play certain players, don't play them. It's my feeling on it. We got some huge games. This is a big week for Cardiff. So it'd be interesting if any of those players are fit for Tuesday. You know, Chambers and Robertson and stuff. I think I had heard that Robertson wasn't far off and they were hopeful he was going to play tomorrow. So maybe he's back for Tuesday, but hamstrings are so temperamental. And also he's had that issue before. So I ain't risking him unless he's fully fit. So Matthew says he meant Salic after his goal in the last game. He'd be banging confident, mate. He scored 3 goals already for Cardiff. And right, so this is what I was going to say about Salic earlier. What Salic has shown, I think, is a few things. His link-up play is decent, if not incredible. He's a very willing runner and pressing. He's happy to run the channels, and he's quite often pointing and asking for the ball. He's not scared of telling people if they don't play the ball into him that they should have. I think that I'd like to see us use the channels more and down the sides more because he is a willing runner. But ultimately, his biggest quality is between those 2 posts. He comes alive in that 18-yard box. So Cardiff have to get the ball in the box. Whether that's Alves, whether that's Ashford, whether that's O'Dowda, NG, they have to make the balls quality. There is an opportunity to get down the sides of Plymouth defensively, when they lose possession, they will try and get back in and be compact and be a kind of 5-4-1 shape to make it really difficult to play through. So when we win the ball back, in that transition, the ball has got to be quick. The movement has got to be quick. So, for instance, just using Ruben as an example, because people have been criticising him for taking too many touches. I agree. He needs to be able to play off 1 and 2 touch as well as carry the ball. It's such an important trait in the attacking areas to be able to play off 1 touch. And I just would like to see us. I would like to see Ruben, because I think his ball carrying is a real big asset, being able to drive us forward. But as soon as he's driving forward, we have to get runners off him, and then he has to get his head up. And I also want to see him, if he gets it on if he drops his shoulder and he has the opportunity to shoot, I want to see him shooting. He can shoot with both feet. He hits the target most of the time, and he should have more goals to his name if he was a little bit more decisive in that decision making. Sometimes I feel like he wants to always play that extra pass, but also playing off, that's what I was saying, is playing off 1 touch and 2 touch in the final third around the box is such a vital skill. And I feel that we have the players to do it, but we don't do it enough. Move the ball, shift the opposition around. You look at Ramsey, go back and watch Ramsey last week. Barely took more than 3 touches on the ball. Barely. At any point. Just kept moving the opposition players around, moving them around, and then bang, ball in behind for the third man run. And it's such a vital tool. We have the players to do it. We just need a little bit more urgency and a little bit more quality in the pass. I am a big fan of what Salic can do. I think he is something that we have lacked since we had Kiefer Moore. Someone who comes alive in the box, and someone who, if you put it in the right areas, will just be in the right spot. And, if he does miss a chance, doesn't let his head drop, he keeps making the runs and he keeps doing it. I've been really impressed for him. For someone so young coming into a new country, I think it's incredible how quickly he's been able to settle. Early goal helps. Don't get me wrong. But I look at the potential of Alves, Colwell, Ashford behind Salic tomorrow. And I look at Manswerk and the qualities that he's shown in winning the ball back and jumping. And what I mean by jumping is when a player takes a heavy touch, just going bum, and he's on him and he pinches the ball off him. Very, very good at that. Manswerk is what you've seen in the last couple of games as he finds his feet, is he got getting used to the speed of the Championship, getting used to the intensity. He's also finding his radar where he hasn't played a lot of football. His passing range looks like it could be something special. It looks like it could be a real tool for us, playing through the lines, switch balls. I really like it. So when he and his partner, whether it's Rinamoto or Rolls, win the ball back, let's get it down the sides to Alves, to Ashford, and progress it quickly and have runners. Got to have runners off the ball. We have the players. I go back to the start of the show. We have the players. We just need 1 or 2 tweaks. I am more confident in Omar Risa than I think. I look at some of the comments from some fans and they're, he's not experienced enough and he's learning on the job. He's making mistakes. He's going to take us down. I haven't got a crystal ball. I've said all along, all season, I don't think Cardiff will go down. I think there's 3 worse teams. I think we have the squad now, and we have a good mix of youth and experience. It's just getting a few little tweaks right. Concentration at the back, moving the ball quicker in certain areas, and getting the right personnel in there. No. So Jonathan says, do you think there's anything in the comments from Risa that we could sign Manswerk permanently, or is he blowing smoke up our ass? No, I said when he signed, mate, that sometimes when players come here or go to certain clubs, they just fall in love with the city, the club. I've heard from a few people in and around it that he loves it here. So, look, I wouldn't be shocked. And what a player, by the way. What a player. Far too good for the Championship. Way above what we're at the moment. But it's another one that, it's about staying up this year, making sure we stay up, and then evolving this squad next season, because the evolution could be special. We have so many young players, 25 and under, who've got real quality. If you added Manswerk on a permanent deal, like that midfield that I was talking about, Manswerk, Robertson, Colwell, Jesus, that is like, it's mouth-watering. Such quality, such technical ability, but a good mix of traits. Alex Robertson's got the vision and the breaking of the lines with his passing, the technical ability, pure technical ability, but also that like shithousery, aggressive streak in him. Manswerk, same, got a real attitude about him, like the way he goes about it, wins the ball high, aggressive, but he's got that old school mentality. I love the fact that he's just got plain black boots, socks around his ankles, looks like a player out of the 60s. I love him. But so Rob says, feels like deja vu, Si. Wasn't we having the same conversation last year? Well, I think no, similar. But last year the hope was that Bullock had stabilized us, and then he would get some signings in to take us on. I would argue that Barkanga, he got the signings, but he didn't take us on tactically, and it just fell apart. So my argument now, and this is when I say evolve the squad, Cardiff have this unique opportunity, which very rarely do clubs have, where you have several players out of contract, some of whom were sort of around 30 odd, and they have several young players already established in the first team who look more than good enough and look like they'll get better. And then they also have a group of youngsters who are ready to, at the very least, push the first team to be rotation players, to be pushing to try and win first team football. That is a very unique thing, because normally to evolve a squad, and this is why so often Cardiff and other clubs end up losing academy players. They lose academy players because they don't get the first team opportunities. They go out on loan, they get playing football. They realize, well, if I go back, I'm not going to get this football. And then they move on and quite often go to the clubs which have loaned them out, or that they've been playing loan football at. Cardiff have a unique opportunity in the summer. Will they take it? That's another question altogether. Like, for me, I truly believe that Omar Rhys has the tools to be a very good manager. But I will stand by what I've said for the last God knows how many years. Until Cardiff get a footballing structure above the manager and the coaching team, I think there's always the risk that it falls apart at any moment for a variety of reasons. And it doesn't have to be like an experienced director of football, like like a Warnock or someone like that. There's a lot of young guys who are doing real good jobs as technical directors, director of football, whatever you want to say. I mean, Jonathan's just mentioned a few there. Barry Bannon, Brian at Barry Murphy, Jody Morris, Steve McPhail is doing an absolute great job in Ireland, doing a similar job, knows the club well. Ramsey, will he be playing, will he be on a pay-as-you-play deal next year? Who knows? But like, Cardiff do need to sort that structure out off the pitch, because it's holding us, in my opinion, it is holding us back. But it comes down to the owner. Doesn't matter what we say, what the manager says, what the board says, what Joe Blogg says, what Mehmet Dalman says, what Steve Borley says, what Kenneth Cho says. It doesn't matter, because ultimately there's only one man who makes the decisions, and that man don't know ball. No, it just is what it is, isn't it? It's weird though, isn't it? Right? Because just very quickly on Vincent Tan, like, you think how much money he's been wasted over the years. And if he had that footballing structure, and I don't even think it's as simple as like just having a director of football as such. I actually think what we need is a football structure almost from top to, like, from the directors down to the board down to the club, in almost in the style, like, it's a bad example because they're not doing very well at the moment. But if you look at what Ineos have done at United, where they've taken over the footballing side of things, and they had like Dan Ashworth and Jason Wilcox and all these different people who were just focused on different elements of the footballing side. Like, it feels like we don't have anyone running the football side of things other than the board. Now, I'm sure they would argue that bar Kanga in the summer, their transfers were very good. I'm sure they would argue that in January, so far, the signings were very good. So their argument maybe would be, do we need one? Do we need that structure? I would say yes for the long term, because I'm still thinking, who's making the decision about these players who are out of contract? Is it the board? Is it the owner? Is it the manager? It's weird because the manager's out of contract in the summer. So no matter who it is, this is nothing to do with Omar Rhys. It's more like whoever it is, if the manager's out of contract in the summer, why is he making decisions about who's staying and who's going contract-wise? Same thing, if the board, there's not a football person on the board, how are they going to, what are the reasons for making those decisions? So if they don't give someone a contract, or they do give someone a contract, is it purely financial? Is it based on their football knowledge? Because I would question that. If it's the owner, is he looking at it like he just thinks that, I don't know, Gutas is going to be centre forward next year, so thinks that's how we're going to get the goals we need? Who knows? It's all fun and games. It's all fun to discuss. Let's go for a few little comments before we finish up. My man to watch, by the way, for Plymouth is sorry Nola. As I mentioned earlier in the show, big fan. Cardiff need to be very careful of him. So his stats are quite deceiving. He's played 17 matches, hasn't got a goal or an assist, just got 6 yellow cards. But he's very heavily involved in how they play, particularly in their recent uptick in form. I really like him. I really like him. I think he's very talented fullback. He's only 24. He'll get up and down. He can play right or left. He's generally a midfielder by trade, but does play right back. But he's also a former Jack. So let's get into him. But he is my one to watch because he'll be up for it. They're confident, etc. My one to watch for Cardiff, I was going to go with Manswerk because I think he's got better and better with each performance. But another person who I think has been in terrific form recently is Ruben Colwell. And I'm looking for Ruben to step up tomorrow and really show what he's capable of. Because if he can play to the best of his ability, he is so difficult to stop that he can be a match winner for us. I would like to see him move the ball a little bit quicker around that sort of 30 yards out from the box. I want to see him driving forward with the ball. If he can't get a shot off around the edge of the box or in the box, then I want to see him moving the ball 1-2 touch. He's so good in tight spaces, and he drags players towards him. So often you see him with 2 or 3 players around him. That can be a tool, because when they come, that leaves other players unmarked if you can manipulate the ball and get it either through them and to the player, or just get it to the player by going back and around. That's a tool, and that's why he will hold the ball to drag players to him to then play it. But unfortunately, football fans in 2025 always want someone to blame. Unfortunately, and shamefully, in my opinion, only in my opinion, someone who's a lad who's come through the academy, is only 22, we should be getting behind him because he is supremely talented, and you only need to look at what other clubs think of him to realise how talented he is. So let's get the best out of him by getting behind him. And my prediction for the score is I think Cardiff will win 2-1. I do think it'll be a very different game to the first game. Plymouth, much more organised. Structurally, their team is much better. They tactically know what they're doing in terms of they know their individual roles and they know their collective roles. However, they are prone to mistakes at the back if you put them under pressure. This game, in my opinion, will be won in midfield. This game will be won in the transition and who can be clinical when they turn the ball over. Cardiff have to concentrate at the back. Have to concentrate. I would love to keep a clean sheet tomorrow just to get some continuity. If we can start keeping clean sheets, I think we'll really move up the league because we're creating chances. And if we keep a clean sheet, then I definitely think we'll win. I do not think this game ends 0-0. And I would be surprised if Cardiff don't score at least one. So let's just get over the line by hook or crook. I'll take a bad performance and 3 points over an excellent performance and a draw or something like that. Guys, as always, it's been an absolute pleasure. The boys will be back tomorrow with your match reaction show in the evening. I might upload a quick instant reaction after the game. I don't know yet. I'll be back on Sunday with a breakdown. Cardiff City phone in Monday. But as I said earlier, live shows most days, as always. But we're adding more video content in the days, analysis and tactics and different videos. Like I said, we've got a video on Bagan. We've got a video on Salic. Got a video which was posted to me by a Twitter account, which some of you might be familiar with. Not a bot posed a question to me about where I think Cardiff stand historically compared to other championship clubs. There was a bit more nuance to it. So I decided to make that into a video as well. That'll be coming next week. If you haven't checked out the Willie Boland live event that we did, that dropped last night. We'll have the preview of the whole game. There's loads coming. We have the radio show. I wonder who the guests will be this week. We had the pleasure of being joined by Darren Pearce, Cardiff first team coach, Rob Phillips, BBC Wales, and Kyra Ely defender Jack Turner last week. Previous week, I think we have Glenn Loovens, we had Mark Hudson, lots and lots of guests. We had Paul Abandonado, loads of guests. And they're just going to keep coming every Wednesday, just a range of guests from grassroots to Cardiff and beyond. I appreciate you all. In order for us to do content 7 days a week, all I ask in return is please, please, please do make sure you subscribe to the channel. It's free. Hit the bell for notifications. Hopefully, I'll see you all at the Glen Loovens event. If you haven't got your tickets, details below. And also, of course, if you can become a member of the channel, then please do. Just hit that join button because those memberships on either Patreon or the YouTube channel, that's what allow us to make content 7 days a week. That's what allow us to get the guests we get. That's what allow us to keep growing and do the insane things that we've got planned in the next month or so. I appreciate you all, guys. You have a good day. If you can't have a good day, just be a good person. In a bit. These t-shirts. Big shout out to Terrace Badger for that. Sent one to me. I really appreciate it. I do love it when people send me stuff. If you're interested in sponsoring Cardiff City World or any of the shows or Ace Podcast Nation or the live events, you got like a business, or if you just want to sponsor it as an individual, get in contact via the email address because I've just opened the window for sponsorships and stuff. So we're open to working with the right people because obviously it just helps us do what we're doing. Lastly, and certainly not least, have a good evening. Leave your score predictions in the comments after the show. Keep the faith, my friends. The Blues are staying up. Come on, City!